There are certain states that accept only TOEFL. At the same time, there are certain professions that recognize only TOEFL.
So this is where the changes come in. So in the TOEFL, there are 4 questions in the speaking section.
But at the end of the day, it's not a matter of which English examination is cheaper. It's a matter of knowing which English examination is required from you. Good day, Philippines, and good day, world. It's March 2021, and after 6 months on YouTube, now we have more than 10,000 subscribers. What is it that we featured in the last 6 months? Anything related to IELTS, OET, PTE. At the same time, we featured recruitment agencies, visa consultancies, plus the testing centers for IELTS, OET, and PTE. What's something new? This time, we're going to talk about TOEFL. So TOEFL, by the way, is an English examination accepted mostly in the United States of America. At the same time, this is recognized by various schools, colleges, and universities in other English-speaking countries. So for this morning, we're going to have one of our IELTS lecturers, Sir Marlon Villardo, who passed both IELTS and TOEFL. So, Sir Marlon, would you like to greet our audience and subscribers?
Yeah, hello to all our viewers and thank you for joining us for this presentation, and we hope that we can provide you with useful information today.
So, this video will give you an overview and some test-taking strategies on how you can possibly ace TOEFL. So, Sir Marlon, perhaps it's best that we start with the overview of TOEFL as an English examination.
Well, as you've mentioned, it is indeed an English exam, and TOEFL actually stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. And just like with the IELTS, it's used to determine a person's ability to understand and use English. What is assessed in this exam? Well, people are being assessed for their reading, speaking, writing, and listening skills. There's 2 modes of delivery. We have paper-based and internet-based, and 97% of people actually take the internet-based exam. Why? Because paper-based is only available in places where internet is not available.
Okay, so Sir Marlon, will you please tell us something about your experience? I believe you took TOEFL in 2017?
Yes.
Okay, so 2017. Please give our audience, our subscribers, an idea how often is TOEFL conducted, like the test dates?
Before the pandemic, they did it once a week. In some cases now, the schedule is a little bit erratic. So for the test dates this March, we have exams on March 6, March 13, March 14, and March 27. There are test centers in Quezon City, Las Piñas, Makati, Baguio, Davao City. We have also one in Laguna and Cebu.
So for the benefit of our audience and subscribers, we're recording this in March. Well, you'll never know if in April or in the next few months, they're going to open new venues and new test dates for TOEFL. That's why it's best that you check the website of TOEFL. Sir Marlon, would you have an idea? What's the website for our candidates to visit just in case they want to check the test dates and venues for TOEFL?
Yeah, so the maker of the TOEFL is called ETS, and their website is www.ets.org.
So, I encourage you guys to visit this website of ETS, the website of TOEFL, for you to check if there is a testing center near you. By the way, this information is not just for the Philippine market. Wherever you are, you may be in the Middle East right now, kindly double check the available test dates and venues for TOEFL. Now, you're going to ask me, so what are the chances that it's really TOEFL that's required for me? Then it's best that you ask your recruitment agency or your immigration lawyer because they have an idea which English examination is required from you. Especially in the United States of America, there are certain states that accept only TOEFL. At the same time, there are certain professions that recognize only TOEFL. So before you make any move, before you take your English examination, it's best to do your research. But if you don't want to do the research on your own, it's best to talk to your recruitment agent or your visa consultant. So now you have an idea that TOEFL has four subtests like IELTS, OET, and PTE. For the test venues, Sir Marlon mentioned that it's conducted in Quezon City, Las Piñas, what else?
We have Makati,
Makati.
we have Baguio City, Cebu City, we have one in Davao, and we have one in Laguna.
So those are the venues. For the test dates, as Sir Marlon mentioned earlier, it's usually 4 times a month. It could be more, it could be less, depending on the situation. Well, still, this is the time of pandemic. That's why, as Sir Marlon mentioned earlier, it's relatively erratic. Now, let us move on to the examination fee. If IELTS costs 11,300 pesos, OET costs 587 Australian dollars. Please don't look at the Google exchange rate. It's the rate of your credit card company. So recently, we had a reviewee who registered for OET. She paid roughly 22,000 pesos. For PTE, that's roughly 205 US dollars. So that's 10,000 pesos. And by the way, we are offering a discount for PTE exam. So minus 1,000 pesos. That's roughly 9,000 pesos. What about in TOEFL, Sir Marlon? How much is it in US dollars and in Philippine pesos?
Well, if you're going to take the TOEFL exam, it will set you back by 215 US dollars. So depending on the exchange rate, unfortunately, I'm not a mathematician. So you can do the math or Sir Irving can do that for you. But like I said, it's 215 US dollars. And if you're going to pay for your exam, your modes of payment are your credit card, your debit card, or you can use PayPal if you have a PayPal account.
Guys, let's do the math. 215, multiply that by roughly 50. It could be more than 50, it could be less than 50. So it's best that you prepare more than 10,000 pesos for your TOEFL examination. Relatively, it's cheaper than the IELTS. But at the end of the day, it's not a matter of which English examination is cheaper. It's a matter of knowing which English examination is required from you. That's why we said earlier, kindly do your research. Now let's move on to the next talking point. Let's talk about the format of TOEFL: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. In IELTS and OET, you are assessed individually. What does that mean? For listening, it's only your listening skill that is being assessed in the same way in the other subtests. But I heard in TOEFL, it's an entirely different story, Sir Marlon, right?
Yes, that's true. Well, let's talk about the sections of the exam in order. So the TOEFL IBT is composed of the reading section, the listening section, the speaking section, and the writing section. The reading section is the first part of the test that you will take, and you have to complete it within 54 to 71 minutes depending on the number of questions that they give you. Normally, it's 30 to 40 questions, and you get your answers from the passages that they will give you. This is followed by the listening exam. Very similar to the IELTS, all you have to do is listen to a recording and you're going to get your answers there, and it will take you at least 41 minutes to complete that part of the test. But sir, unlike the IELTS, the TOEFL has a 10-minute break. So at least you get to relax a bit, and then after the break, you're going to have your speaking exam. So this is where the changes come in. So in the TOEFL, there are 4 questions in the speaking section. The first one, you're going to answer a question about a topic that's familiar to you. The next 3 questions, you're going to listen to a recording and read a passage, and your job is to summarize it. So unlike the IELTS where you're coming up with your own answers, in the TOEFL, there are sources that you have to refer to in order to give a very good response. Now, what makes this special? It's the shortest part of the test. So even though it sounds daunting, you're just going to do it for 17 minutes. And then you're going to write 2 essays for the writing section in just 15 minutes. Compare that to the IELTS where you have at least 60 minutes.
Sir Marlon, please correct me if I'm wrong. Did I get it right that in TOEFL, what you're going to say in the speaking subtest and what you're going to write, obviously in the writing subtest, is based on a listening, recording, and a reading passage. Did I get it right?
That's true. You're going to summarize it, and the examiners will assess you based on your ability to pick out accurate information from the sources.
So this is my take, guys. In IELTS, in the speaking subtest, you have to do well in your oral communication skills. In the writing subtest, you have to express yourself, especially you have to know something about the subject matter. But in TOEFL, your writing and speaking performance can actually be affected by your listening and reading skills.
Yes.
That's why they say that TOEFL follows an integrated system. Remember, if you're poor in listening, chances are you might not do well in your listening subtest, in your speaking subtest, and your writing subtest. Because listening in TOEFL is incorporated in 3 subtests. Imagine if you have poor reading skills. Chances are you might not do well in reading, in writing, and speaking. So knowing that this is the case, Sir Marlon, would you suggest that our candidates for TOEFL should focus on improving their listening and reading skills to do well in writing and speaking?
Yeah, definitely. You need to be a really good reader and a really good listener to get a high score in the speaking and the writing exam. And that's why I believe my IELTS background served me well when I took my TOEFL.
For those of you who do not know yet, Sir Marlon here took both IELTS and TOEFL. So he initially took IELTS where he got a 9 in listening, 8.5 in reading, 7 in writing, and 8 in speaking. So when he took TOEFL, he already had an idea how to do well in English examination. So Sir Marlon, if in IELTS, the candidates are assessed and are graded numerically from 1 to 9, is it also the same in TOEFL?
No, it's totally different. So the highest possible score in the TOEFL exam, if we're talking about the overall score, is 120. And we divide that into the 4 sections of the TOEFL, meaning to say, for each section, the highest possible score is 30 and the lowest possible score is 0. So unlike in the IELTS where it's just 0 to 9, in the TOEFL per section, it's 0 to 30.
So, in IELTS, guys, 0 to 9 for each of the 4 subtests, and then overall band score, you'll get the average of your performance in the 4 subtests. In TOEFL, if I got it right, 30 per subtest, but for the overall, they don't get the average.
Yes.
It's a sum of the 4 subtests. So in TOEFL, the perfect score is 120. Knowing that this is the case, Sir Marlon, would you know which countries and which visas accept TOEFL?
Yeah, well, the TOEFL is actually accepted in 150 countries. Particularly included in that list are the UK, we have the US, we have New Zealand, Canada, and Australia. Most of the time, people use the TOEFL for student visa, like I did.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually the primary purpose of the TOEFL for many people. But little do people know, it's also accepted as a proof of English proficiency for skilled immigration visa in Australia and New Zealand. And as Sir Ervin mentioned, there are states in the US that only accept TOEFL as proof of English proficiency, especially for medical workers. And to name a few states, we have Ohio, Colorado, we have Kansas, and Illinois. So if you want to become a medical worker there, you can take the IELTS, you might want to take the TOEFL if you want to pursue a career in those places.
Recap, guys. Illinois, Colorado, Kansas,
Yeah.
and Ohio. So if you're targeting any of the 4 states, it's TOEFL, which
Yes.
is required. Okay? The word is not accepted, it's required.
Yes.
Now, what about the medical professionals going to America? I'm sure nurses can take TOEFL. I heard that physical therapists are required to take TOEFL.
Actually, based on my research, it's
Mhm.
the only English exam that is accepted for PTs and OTs, occupational therapists that want to work in the US. So my data is updated like March 1, 2021. So we don't know what will be happening in the future, but as it stands, if you want to become an OT or PT in the US, TOEFL is your only choice.
There you go, guys. If you're a physical therapist or occupational therapist targeting UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Ireland, it might be a different English exam. You might have options. However, if you're a PT or OT going to USA, it's only TOEFL that you are allowed to take. So this is the beauty of this overview. We're giving you an idea which one is required, which one is accepted. And apparently, the words accepted and required are not entirely the same. So now, let us move on to recheck. In IELTS, in OET, remark is an option. It's possible to challenge the grade that your examiner gave you. So, Sir Marlon, can TOEFL candidates also apply for remark or recheck?
Yeah, but they can only do that for the speaking and writing section, similar to the IELTS.
Mhm.
So if you feel like you deserve a better score, you can ask examiners to review your performance, but that will cost you $80 per section. So let's say you want them to recheck your output for writing, that will set you back by $80. And then for speaking, that's another $80. So a total of $160 for two sections.
So, just to compare, in IELTS, it's the same recheck fee regardless of the number of subtests. That's around 3,000 to 5,000 pesos depending on the exchange rate. So if ever you'd like to have your speaking subtest rechecked in the IELTS, the cost is fixed. If you want all four subtests rechecked, it's exactly the same amount. But in TOEFL, what I'm hearing now, it's an entirely different story because the cost is actually dependent on the number of subtests you'd like to apply for recheck. In IELTS, it's also possible to apply for a recheck in listening and reading. It's just that in my last 15 years of teaching, I've never encountered anyone who got an increase in listening and reading after their recheck. At least that's the case in IELTS. So for TOEFL here, you cannot apply for a remark in listening and reading, but only in writing and speaking. But it will cost you $80. Multiplied by 50 pesos, that's 4,000 pesos per subtest of TOEFL that you want to have rechecked. Now, in IELTS, in case you get an increase in any of the four components after the recheck, they are going to return your money. Sir Marlon, would you know if this is also the case in TOEFL?
At the moment, yes, but again, we don't know what will be happening in the future. So as of recording, yeah, that's the case.
So that's the beauty of taking the risk. If ever you get an increase in one of the two components in TOEFL, you're going to get a full refund of what you have paid for. Now, we're done with recheck. Let us move on to personal experience. So Sir Marlon took the examination in 2017. Let's talk about what you did before the exam, like preparation and so on.
Well, it was important for me to find out what to expect from the test. I needed to know how much time I have and what are the things that they will be asking in the exam. I also tried to get materials that help me become familiar with the software that they're going to use in the test. So I made sure to acquire the official copy of the TOEFL IBT guide. It's a software that resembles the one that they use in the actual exam. And I think I got a lot of valuable practice time on that. And during the test, I noticed that, well, this is my personal opinion, the listening, speaking, and writing exam of the TOEFL is significantly easier than the IELTS, but that's just me. In the listening exam, I heard speakers with an American accent, and compared to the IELTS, where the speakers have a British accent, I have no problem understanding people with an American accent because I grew up with Hollywood films. That's not to say that British speakers are bad or anything. It's just that I understand people with American accents better. For the speaking exam, it really helps that I have reference for my answers because at times, when you're trying to think of your own response, you might experience mental block. And for the writing exam, I'd say it's pretty much the same except for the integrated task where, again, I'm listening to a recording and I'm reading a passage that pretty much tells me what I need to talk about. But for the reading section, it's a totally different story because the reading test for the IELTS is so easy. It's very straightforward. So maybe if you're not really a strong reader, try to stay away from the TOEFL.
Well, that's a suggestion of Sir Marlon. He has the experience. He took both examinations. That's why he can compare the two. But like what he said, it's just him. Well, some people might find it more comfortable listening to British accent or Australian accent. Sir Marlon here is more comfortable with the American accent. For some people who are fond of reading, well, his recommendation, it's TOEFL. But for some people who are not really into reading as a skill, well, IELTS. Now, let us move on to the tips that Sir Marlon would like to share. Tips perhaps during the exam, like how to manage your nervousness, your anxiety, and so on.
I'd say stop caring. If you worry too much about your score, the pressure will get to you. So I remember the day before my exam, I really didn't do anything related to the test. I was confident with my preparations way ahead of the test date. And all I did was just relax and have fun before my exam. I also made sure to get to the test venue 1 hour before my scheduled exam because that way you're not cramming, you're not stressed, you're not panicking, you're not haggling for documents that you're going to present to your proctor. And I'd say that you want to maximize your 10-minute break. You want to hydrate yourself again, maybe consume a small amount of food so that you have plenty of energy to overcome the challenges that you will face in the speaking and writing exam. I did mention that if you're not a good reader, TOEFL can be a problem, but those kinds of issues, you can solve that before the test by reading more, listening more, watching more, consuming more English media, I would say. And finally, prayer. It's really underrated, but I believe that in all my endeavors, God was with me. So don't forget to pray, guys.
Sir Marlon, how long did you prepare for TOEFL? How many weeks? How many months?
I'd say approximately 30 days. I made sure to religiously consume TOEFL material. I watched people who got good scores in the test. I read some sample essays. But when it comes to sample essays, actually the ones we have at Niner, they're the same materials that I referred to. It's very effective. And for the listening and the reading section, I just made sure to watch a lot of English programs so that I get used to how English speakers use the language.
Guys, we usually recommend 2 to 3 months of preparation for IELTS. For OET, roughly 2 months. So Sir Marlon here, when he took TOEFL, he allotted approximately 1 month or 30 days before he took the examination. But remember, there is no such thing as a generic person. The others might take the examination just after 2 weeks of preparation. The others might allot more than 3 months. So what we're letting you know is that checking your progress or tracking your progress is important while you're preparing for the test. So, what about the availability of results, Sir Marlon? Do they have to wait for, well, in IELTS, if it's paper-based, 2 weeks, and then computer-based, 3 to 5 days? What about in TOEFL? How many days or weeks do they have to wait for the results to come out?
Well, candidates can view their test results online 6 days after their test date. And if they request for a hard copy of the test results, that should be available 11 days after their test date. But the TOEFL said that the delivery time of your test report form will vary depending on local postal services. So it might take more than 11 days, guys.
So there you go. Now, for our second to the last question, Sir Marlon, are you aware of any upcoming changes to the TOEFL exam?
Well, as of late, they are not reporting any changes that they're planning to make. There's no news of upcoming changes, but they did make some changes back in 2019. So originally, there were 6 questions in the speaking section. Now there's only 4. And there's less questions now in the listening and the reading section. So guys, I believe the test has become a lot easier. And if you want to take the TOEFL, now is the best time to do so.
So, for our last question, Sir Marlon, why would you recommend TOEFL to aspiring nurses or healthcare workers going to America or student visa applicants? Well, he is the best person to ask, knowing that he took both IELTS and TOEFL. So now we're thinking, what could possibly be the advantages of TOEFL over IELTS?
Well, I'd say, like I mentioned, the listening exam, if you're really good at understanding people with an American accent, I'd say you don't really have to prepare for that part of the test that much. You don't even have to worry about it. And for the speaking section, again, if you're the type of person that struggles remembering answers, because in the IELTS, you really have to go down memory lane to give a good response. So if you're not really good at that particular aspect of your speaking skills, or if you don't possess the ability to give spontaneous answers, I'd say the TOEFL is perfect for you.
Okay, guys, we've been talking for roughly 24 or 25 minutes. This is just an overview. So if you want help, Sir Marlon told me earlier he already recorded lectures for TOEFL listening, reading, and speaking. It's just the writing portion that he needs to finish, and soon we're going to announce our program for TOEFL IBT. So here we are. telling you that if you need help in preparation for your TOEFL and you don't have resources or you need a speaking partner, you know that 9.09er is here to help you in your preparation for various English examinations. So once again, here is Sir Marlon, our TOEFL and IELTS lecturer, and this is Sir Irvin saying thank you for your time. If you think that the content of this video is helpful, please pay it forward by sharing to fellow TOEFL examinees. Thank you.